The yellow lines here are the submucosal plexus. In muscularis externa, you should know 12A and B, the circular and longitudinal layers, and know the myoteric plexus, number 13. 14 is the simple squamous epithelium of the serosa, or adventitia. Those layers are also shown on the small intestine model shown here. As shown, from inside to out, mucosa, submucosa, and then muscularis externa, circular layer, and then longitudinal layer, and then serosa or adventitia. So that's all this little part right there. Okay. I could ask you the circular folds. They're actually called circular folds, or plica circularis. This model is the transverse mesocolon, but it shows a lot of other things too. That's the duodenum. That's the pancreatic duct, the main one. That's the transverse colon. Here's the tinea coli. The fat apron is the greater omentum. And here's the stomach we have in the classroom. The layers are shown. The outermost layer is shown there, that's serosa. And then you have 3 layers of muscularis externa that are shown. The innermost one's the oblique, that's circular, and there's a layer out here, it's hard to visualize, that's longitudinal. So oblique, circular, longitudinal, and that's serosa. The regions of the stomach, I know it's upside down, but that's fundus. This area close to the heart is cardia. I would say from here to here is body of the stomach. Where it starts the funnel, call that pylorus. On this model right here, the other half, from here on down where it funnels is pylorus. The folds are called rugae. Small intestine, I specifically wanted to show you this superior mesenteric artery and the vein. That's probably inferior mesenteric, but I'm going for these two. You go over the duodenum. You also see the colon. You can see the tinea coli on the back there. Okay. The pockets are haustra. Here's another view of the stomach where you can see the rugae, the longitudinal folds, the circular folds are the plica. We see the superior mesenteric artery and vein going over duodenum. That's chyme. I don't see much else there. I guess I could ask you that green thing. You should know what that is. Bile duct, or common bile duct. The liver has the whole bile duct system. This picture is kind of blurry, but I think you can still see the bile duct system. That's the that's the gallbladder on the right side. This is the quadrate lobe, that's caudate lobe. That's the round ligament right there. We have these hepatic ducts. That's the right, that's the left hepatic duct. They merge to form common hepatic duct, which merges with cystic duct to form bile duct. We also see the portal vein, or hepatic portal vein. We see proper hepatic artery, okay, or sometimes just called hepatic artery. So remember, the portal vein is sometimes called the hepatic portal vein. The key word is portal. It's not just a hepatic vein, like this one, which drains into the inferior vena cava. Remember, so you have 2 vessels delivering blood to the liver. That's hepatic artery and the portal vein. They deliver blood, and you have one drainage system. The hepatic veins drain to the inferior vena cava. And we see that again here. Okay. We call it the porta hepatis, involving the proper hepatic artery, the hepatic portal vein, and then the bile duct. So going in reverse, the bile duct goes to cystic duct, common hepatic duct, and then you have these two. Now, how do you tell right from left? This is the right one, because I know the gallbladder sits on the right side. That's how I always tell. So right and left hepatic duct. So that's enough liver. Getting to more of the colon stuff and small intestine stuff. 527 is pointing to the haustra, I think. The whole thing is the transverse colon. You have 2 flexures here. Is that the left or the right side? Remember, it's always the opposite, always the patient's perspective, not how you look at it. That's the hepatic flexure, the splenic flexure. That's the tinea coli. You see a bit of the ascending and the descending colon. That'll be the rectum. All right, so following the whole small intestine, there's the ascending and then the transverse and the descending. This is meant to show you, the picture is meant to show you the superior, inferior mesenteric arteries. The superior one kind of veers off to the right. It's giving up all these branches here that go to the jejunum and ileum, and all these branches that supply blood up to the splenic flexure. Then it's the job of the inferior mesenteric that gives blood supply to the distal colon from that flexure, from the splenic flexure on down. So those two arteries, the superior and inferior mesenteric arteries. Shown here is the superior mesenteric. And I show you the back side of the small intestine. Oh, sorry, I keep pushing the wrong button. These are the cut branches of those, of the SMA. There's the inferior mesenteric, okay, going off to the left a little bit. And we also have that shown here. The same thing on a different model. On this one, I like how they show the superior mesenteric going over the duodenum. And here's the inferior mesenteric supplying blood to the distal colon. We move on to, oh wait, don't move too fast. I did show you some things here. What part of the small intestine is that? It's the end of it. Ileum. There is a structure on your study guide called the ileocecal valve. This whole pouch is called the cecum. And what's this called? Appendix. The appendix, the full name is vermiform appendix. Okay, so you need to know those things as well. Okay. Well, here is the kidney, moving on, and specifically teaching the model. We have the medullary pyramids, we have the cortex. The blood supply goes the renal artery, the segmental artery. If it's going in the renal column, call it interlobar. If it's arcing over, it's the arcuate artery, and the interlobar or cortical radiate artery are there too. The closer up picture shows you have the little glomeruli, okay? You have parts of the nephron shown here too. Like this one, if you follow, that's the PCT, there's the descending limb, the ascending limb of the Lippa-Henle, there's the collecting duct, the DCT, only the collecting duct. So once again, PCT, Lippa-Henle, DCT, then collecting duct all the way down. Notice that the collecting duct has portions in the cortex and the medulla. Okay, so going back, the drainage system of the urine, you have a minor calyx that merged to form a major calyx. If I'm pointing to the pelvis, I'm going to point to this area here. If that's renal pelvis, what's this? The ureter. So renal pelvis, ureter. The pelvis is the wide part. Right, some more nephron stuff. The nephron stuff is shown here. The blood supply stuff is shown over there. That's the renal corpuscle or the Bowman's capsule. So that's PCT. Here's the Lippa-Henle. Okay, remember Lippa-Henle? The descending limb, the one I like, is the thin one. So you have thin descending limb. And then for the ascending limb, I like the thicker part. That's what I talked about functionally. Thick ascending limb. When you get to here, start to call it the DCT. And then the collecting duct. Okay. The blood supply, if you start with this one, arcuate artery that leads to the interlobular artery, and these little branches are the afferent arteriole, the little balls, glomerulus. Remember, glomerulus means ball of yarn. What capillary is this net-looking thing? Peritubular. What capillaries are down here, the straight ones? Vas rectum. So on this model of the kidney, they show the medullary pyramid down here, and they show the cortex up here. Here's a clearer view of the cortex, a closer up view, I should say. That's the glomerulus. If I ask you pole, tubular pole, vascular pole, and if we start from the blood supply, it goes arcuate, interlobular, afferent, and then glomerulus. And then there's efferent there going to peritubular capillary. If you follow the nephron parts, it goes tubular pole, which is PCT, and there's the thin descending limb there. Follow down there. There's the thin descending limb, and thin descending and thick ascending. And then right around here, call it DCT. It passes by the vascular pole, then drains into the collecting duct. Okay, so we're going to call these capillaries peritubular. And the ones down here, vasa recta. Different model of the same thing. And arcuate, interlobular, is that afferent or efferent? The afferent is the one that's a direct branch off. The efferent one will go to the peritubular capillaries. They have vascular pole and tubular pole. What would you call that? Just glomerulus, if you can see it, and the capsule around is the Bowman's capsule. The PCT, the loop of Henle, there's the thin descending limb, and then the thick ascending limb. And right around here, I'd call it the DCT, and then the collecting duct all the way down. Again, capillaries up here, peritubular. The capillaries down here are vasa recta. The labels are on there to help you. Okay. Here's another view of the kidney. My landmark is 7 and 8. Those are my arcuate vessels, artery and vein. So on this side of it is cortex. On this side of it is the medulla. So number one, any of the green balls, call it Bowman's capsule or the renal corpuscle. You can't see the glomerulus. Number 2 is afferent arteriole. 3 is efferent. 9 and 10 are the interlobular, artery and vein. Okay, 4 and 5 are PCT and DCT. Which one's PCT? 5 is. 5, so study this. Here's the renal corpuscle. That's the vascular pole. That's the tubular pole. So you know the light beige is PCT, and there's more of it. And if you follow it down, there's the thin descending limb. There's the thick ascending limb. Okay? So that's what 11 and 12 are parts of the loop of Henle. So number 4 is the same as this here, DCT, going right into the collecting duct, the yellow. So 13 is trying to show you all these capillaries. Is it peritubular or vasa recta? It's vasa recta, so what number is peritubular? 14. It's labeled here, okay? So you can quiz yourself. The renal corpuscle, so you can see the juxtaglomerular apparatus. I'll ask you macula densa and the juxtaglomerular cells, or granular cells. Granular cells right there, specialized cells in the afferent arteriole. So this is afferent arteriole, that's efferent. There's the DCT, specifically macula densa. I could ask you to identify this layer. It's the visceral layer of Bowman's capsule. I could ask you to identify the cells. Those are podocytes. On this side where it's red is glomerulus, and this is the parietal layer of the Bowman's capsule. That's the PCT, or tubular pole. It's labeled here. Okay. They label the brush border. I'm not going to ask you that. No, it's the PCT, the tubular pole. Yeah. So they just say juxtaglomerular apparatus, specifically know the granular cells and the macula densa. You don't just expect to see juxtaglomerular apparatus as a choice. This one, juxtaglomerular apparatus, this is macula densa of the DCT. This is the juxtaglomerular cells of the afferent arteriole. That's efferent arteriole. This is our visceral layer of the Bowman's capsule. On this one, you can see the nuclei of the podocytes, and you can even see the little slits. What do we call those slits? Filtration slits. Know that. These are just glomerular capillaries. Okay. This is you can also call this the visceral and the parietal layer of the Bowman's capsule. That's all I see there. More renal corpuscle stuff. So the specialized cells are not the slender spindle-shaped cells. Those are normal smooth muscle cells. It's these like hexagonal ones, which are the specialized ones, the juxtaglomerular cells. That's the afferent arterioles, efferent. This is the DCT, but specifically, I'm going for macula densa. That's what it is at this location. There's the glomerulus, and then we can see the visceral layer of the Bowman's capsule. and we see the podocyte cells, the foot processes form the filtration slits. So you can call this tubular pole, or as they call it, the PCT, the vascular pole here. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got. That's all the slides I pulled. So now I'm done with the review.